Today's diagonal trifold card is going to be your new favorite layout. Guys, it's a one-sheet wonder. I used just one sheet of cardstock to create the base of the card, and I even have a diagram to make creating this card super easy. Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com, and you are going to be so glad you joined in for today's Tuesday tip because, as I said at the beginning of the video, we not only have a one-sheet wonder, but it has a diagram for creating this fantastic card. How about we jump in and we create our diagonal trifold card? Okay, friends, we're going to start with this really fun card. We go together like milk and cookies, and you see it opens up. We've got a place here for our message saying we're a perfect pair. Guys, it's a really simple card to make. We're going to start with creating the actual card base. To create that base, we're going to use one sheet of 8.5 by 11. And as I said, we do have a diagram. Now, friends, you can get the diagram along with my measurements, my supply list, photos. You can either click or scan this QR code if you need to come back and watch the video again. And if you're in the United States and you'd like to order any of the Stampin' Up! Supplies I used, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. This image right here, click it, or you can just follow this link. Either way, it's going to take you to my online store and you can order any of the supplies you need there. Now, guys, you'll find all of this at SimplySimpleStamping.com, or you can look down in the YouTube description for a direct link. But as I said, we're going to start with that card base and our diagram. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take our 8.5 by 11 cardstock and we want to cut it in half at 5.5 inches. So that means we have the 11 inches up at the top. We now have two equal pieces, 8.5 by 5.5. I'm going to set one of these off to the side here because we're going to work on this first piece. And it tells us we need to cut it down to 5.5 by 8.25. I know that's odd, but we do want to make sure we get that little 1/4 of an inch off. And now we're going to do some scoring. So let's make sure our cutting blade is out of the way. And we're going to score, guys. The scoring is so easy. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yep, it's that simple. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and 4 inch. Now, we need to make, you can see here, we're going to make a little tick mark at 2 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to rotate my cardstock around. I'm going to line this up at 2 3/4. Now, you can make a tick mark with a pen, but you know what? My cutting blade's right here. I'm just going to just try to do you see I just barely nicked it. That's all I need to do. As long as I can see where that 2 3/4 mark is. And what I'm going to do now, let me go ahead and slide this down so you can see. I'm going to line up my little tick mark in the track of the paper trimmer and that 4-inch score line. So just line both of those up right there in the track and we cut, and that's going to give us our diagonal that we need. Let me set this off to the side so we can go ahead and see what we need to do with our remaining piece. So the next thing we need to do is we need to cut this down to 4 3/4. That should have said 8.5. I will definitely go fix that before I send you this. So let's go. 4 3/4 by 8.5. I love it when I find my mistakes when I'm doing a video. All right, so now we're going to put that 8.5 up at the top. And according to our diagram, we need a piece that is 3.5 by 4 3/4. Now with what's left, we need 2 3/4 by 4. So there's 2 3/4 by 4. That is the base of our card. So now let's bring in our bone folder and we are going to crease our score lines in an accordion. So just back and forth, give them a really good crease. So there is our fold. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two pieces that we cut. Let's go ahead and put these together. I'm going to start with the largest one, and that's this one right here. It's going to go, you can kind of see it's going to go right in here. All right. So I'm going to find my adhesive. It's never where I need it to be. And I'm going to go ahead and take the adhesive all the way down that panel. All right. I'm going to tuck that piece of cardstock right inside there. Now, what you want to do is make sure you're lining it up down here at the bottom that we're getting that right where we need it to be. All right. So there's the middle panel. And then now we're going to add the front panel. And friends, we're going to do the exact same thing. Just put adhesive all the way down. And we're going to add our smaller piece of cherry cobbler cardstock. Again, lining everything up. And boom, boom, that's it. That's what we need to create the card. Now, we got to make it pretty. This isn't much, right? So let's jump in and do some stamping. So for my card today, I'm going to use the Perfect Pair stamp set, and I've got 3 ink pads: Cherry Cobbler, Pecan Pie, and Pebbled Path. I'm going to start with my Pebbled Path and that adorable cookie. Now, I want you to pay attention. This cookie has hearts instead of chips, if you will. And so it is really, really cute. I've got 2 equal pieces of basic white. And friends, these are 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. So in Pebbled Path, I'm going to stamp 1 cookie, kind of right down here, a little bit more to the left side. And then I'll stamp another one just here at the bottom of my other piece of basic white. Now let's stamp our little milk carton just above it. We're going to be fussy cutting these, so there's no right or wrong where you stamp that. And now I'm going to bring in my pecan pie, because there's something else this milk carton has that I love. It is, wait for it, this adorable cow. Oh my gosh, so cute, right? Okay, so we've got our little cow, we've got our cookie. Let's do some coloring. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends, but you could do this with Stampin' Right markers, no problem. So I'm going to start with the light pecan pie. And what I want to do is I'm going to color in the cookie, just avoid the hearts. And I'm going to do that to both of these. I'm now going to come in with the dark Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to kind of hit all the little detail here in the cookie. It's just going to kind of help that pop just a little bit more. I'm now going to come in with the dark cherry cobbler, and I'm just going to kind of trace just the left side of the heart, because then I can come in with the light cherry cobbler and I'll blend those together. And that way that heart just has a little more detail. And the last thing I want to do with that cherry cobbler, either the light or dark, is I'm going to color in the little stripes of the straw. So just come in and just every other little space is really cute. Now, we did have those pecan pie markers, so why don't we go ahead and color in the horns. And this is just a little thing, it's just a Connie thing, but I wanted the cow's eyes to pop just a little bit more. So I'm going to come in with a basic black marker. See that? It just kind of gives it's a little bit brighter, right? We want a little bit brighter eyes. Okay, I'm going to set these off to the side for a minute, because we're going to take a piece of pecan pie cardstock, and this is a 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And we're going to come back in now with the Pebbled Path ink pad. And you remember how we did our cookies? Well, we're going to do that again all over this piece of cardstock. I personally like to start in the middle. Now, when you stamp these, again, keep in mind the direction of the hearts. We don't want them to be upside down. So kind of keep those all going at least facing upwards. So now we're ready to color in all of the hearts here on our pecan pie. Now I got to tell you, with this darker cardstock, I'm just going to use the light cherry cobbler Stampin' Blend, because the blending just didn't show up as well, because I am using a darker cardstock. And I'm not going to color the cookie. I just decided it really wasn't necessary, again, because I'm using the pecan pie cardstock. So I'm going to get all these colored in for you. I do have just a little more stamping I need to do in cherry cobbler. So I'm going to stamp. I've got just a little tiny piece of basic white. This is a 1 1/2 by 1 1/4. And I'm going to stamp "We Go Together Like Milk and Cookies." And then on the inside of my card, we're going to stamp "Perfect Pair." Now, before I stamp that, I need to do something. I'm just going to take this piece of cardstock and just kind of center it here in my card. It's going to have a layer underneath it here in a minute, but I'm going to ink up Perfect Pair, and I want it to be hidden under this panel. So by laying my cardstock in here, it just kind of gives me the ability to kind of get a visual going straight across. So with that, I know that's going to be hidden. All right, so let's put the card together. Friends, I hope you get as big of a chuckle out of this as I do. I stamped the wrong piece of cardstock. I thought it seemed awfully big. This piece was the piece that was meant to go back here. Now, guess what? It's not a problem when you do things like this. I should have put it on this one because it's going to go here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go cut this down, and then I'm going to get myself another piece of pecan pie. Mistakes happen, and we always find a way to fix it. Look at that. Problem solved. These things happen. All right. So I've got a piece of pecan pie, 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to adhere that on my back layer, or in this case, this is the inside of my card. And we'll take our Perfect Pair and we'll add that right on top. Now let's work on the middle panel. That will be my my cookies that I had to cut down. Like I said, we can fix anything, can't we? All right, that will go right here. And that one, that should have been, let me see, that was a 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So we've got that. Now here, I've got another piece of pecan pie. And this is a, let's see, what have I got? A 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. I just like adding the layers. Now, you might notice with this card, because we did make it as a one sheet wonder, you don't have to add layers. You could just do some stamping. You could keep it really simple. It's entirely up to you. Now, I'm going to take, this is the one that just had the one little lonely cookie on it. All right, just our lonely cookie, but don't worry, it's a pair. So we're going to adhere that to the front. And I am going to take the milk carton and the cookie, and I'm going to do a quick fussy cut. Now, I've got a tip for you when it comes to fussy cutting. My friend Gail taught me this many years ago. She said, when you're fussy cutting, don't move your scissors, move your cardstock, move your paper. So I'm holding it with my left hand. So I'm only going to move my left hand as I cut. So my scissors are always staying straight in front of me. But this really gives great control. So I hope that tip helps you as well. It sure has helped me. So we will finish fussy cutting our cookie. And now we'll fussy cut the milk carton. Now I got to tell you, cutting this milk carton is really easy because it's a lot of really straight sides. So this one will go very, very quickly. So I've added Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of my milk and my other cookie. I'm going to add my milk right here up at the top, and the cookie will just kind of go right next to it. And remember the sentiment that we stamped, the greeting for the front of our card, we go together like. I've got a layering piece of pecan pie. Let's see, that one is a 1 3/4 by 1 1/2. I'm going to add that right here. And so I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive right here on this corner. We're going to tuck that underneath about right there. Now you see this little corner? We're going to do something fun. I'm going to take a mini glue dot and a little bow made with the cherry cobbler and gold ribbon, which looks perfect with this pecan pie and cherry cobbler cardstock. So I'm going to press that glue dot and press that bow right onto the bow. All right. And so now when it opens, look, it kind of has a really nice look all the way around, right? We go together like milk and cookies, and we are a perfect pair. Now, this could be a Valentine's card. This could be a just, maybe for the grandkids. It would be so cute. Fabulous card. And you've got a lot of options in this stamp set. All right. So we've shared that one. Let me share another card with you. Don't forget to head over to simplysimplestamping.com to get your free download and diagram so you can recreate these cards. Remember, everything you need is going to be right there. You can find the link also directly down in the YouTube description, or simply go to simplysimplestamping.com. All right, let's start creating our second card. I think this one is so fun. I love the vintage feel, yet it's still got a little whimsy. It's still just real trendy and on point. It says, I like you. I like you, so you get a card. Isn't it fun? Now, this stamp set is the Stamped with Love set. Again, it's a fantastic set. We're going to use a lot of the stamps in the set to create the card. Now, I did one quick thing for you in advance. I went ahead and I created the card base, right? You saw how to do that. You're going to get that diagram so that you can recreate it. And I went ahead and added a couple layers, except this middle one, because I have a tip I want to share with you on creating that middle section. So I've got a piece of the so I've gone ahead and created the card base for you. Remember, you have the diagram, you know how to do that. I even went ahead and added a couple of the layers. The one that's missing is the one here in the middle. Remember the one that I cut wrong? All right, well, we are gonna do a little stamping on that one. So that is a piece of Coastal Cabana, and it is 3.5 by 4 3/4. So instead of doing a layer, I'm gonna let this be its own layer because we're gonna do some stamping on it. So I'm going to come in with my Memento black ink and this stamp that's got our letter, our cute little postage, and a sweet little pen. And I'm going to stamp that right in the middle. And now I'm just going to kind of randomly stamp this image all around. So we'll get one here. We just want to make sure we're hitting all of the corners. I'm now going to bring in a Coastal Cabana ink pad, and I'm going to take the stamp I like you, and we're going to make that our address, if you will. Just thought it filled in really, really cute. We'll add that. And now we're going to bring in a Cherry Cobbler ink pad and the cutest, tiniest little heart I've ever seen from a Stampin' Up! Stamp set. And it is one of my favorite little hearts. I love this. Watch this. We're going to take that little heart and we're going to make that our postage. So cute. We'll add one here. We'll add one here. Now, I wanted a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more of that Cherry Cobbler. So I'm going to just come in and add some hearts just randomly. Again, just to kind of fill in a little bit. So that image is now done. Remember, we put adhesive all the way down that panel. Tuck this inside. And again, let's make sure everything's lined up. All right, so now let's work on the front focal image. So for this card, I had two pieces of basic white. These were both 2 1/4 by 3.5. So one is adhered onto a piece of basic black on my card base. And then the other one, I just went ahead and I stamped the post, okay, the little mailbox. We're going to do a little more coloring. This time I thought I'd use the Stampin' Write markers. So either one will work. Now, there is not a Coastal Cabana Stampin' Blend, but if you wanted to use your Stampin' Blends here, you're going to want to use Summer Splash. That's the color that will be very, very close to Coastal Cabana. It'll look great with your card, I promise you. But I thought I'd just change it up, and I do enjoy using my markers. I'm going to use the fine tip because I'm going to color in the mail slot. And sometimes I worry that that brush tip that I might get a little sloppy. So I'll use the bullet tip here. And I'm going to use that bullet tip again here and just color in the outside edge. You've got a few more places you can add some color. Again, get creative, make it the way you want it. I think I'll get this little bit right here. And of course, it's going to be sealed with love. All right. So we're now going to bring our paper snips back in, and we're going to fussy cut our mailbox. Again, this one, it's a lot of straight edges, so it's very easy to do. I've added Stampin' Dimensionals to that because I love the look of the pop there. Now let's stamp on the inside of our card. Remember, we needed it in place because we needed this piece. So I wanted to make this one of the last things I did. In Coastal Cabana, I will stamp I like you, again, making sure it's going to come underneath that area there. In black ink, we will say, so you get a card. And now we're just going to add a few little hearts again. These colors together are so pretty. There we go. The last thing we're going to add is a little bow. This is with the Lost Lagoon. I think it's called a satin trim. It's really pretty. I'm going to add it right up here. You see the color goes really well with it. And I love that we can kind of mix and match these colors, that they just kind of all blend really nicely. So there we go. Another just really fun card. And for those of you that like your cards to display, oh my gosh, I mean, what's not to love about this? You can kind of spread that out. Very mantle worthy. All right, let me bring in my first card. There we go. One sheet wonder. So the card base can be made so easily. You could have these ready to go and stamp your focal images here. Have fun with it. You can add layers. You cannot add layers. Make this card, make it something absolutely amazing and creative. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, a thumbs up on YouTube is always appreciated. Thank you so much for that. And if you haven't subscribed, take a minute to click the subscribe button. When you do, YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with a new video, and I'd love to have you back. So be sure to click that, ring that bell so you get those notifications. Thank you again, everyone. Have a fantastic day. Go create and send a card and make someone's day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.